Bryce Young taking all the number one snaps with the Panthers. Good. I'm not one of those guys that falls in line. Hey, let's get the guy and kind of work him into the game here a little bit. Get his ass in there right now. Let's find out what he is. Peyton Manning had 28 interceptions his first year. That bullshit with playing players and sitting them behind guys and waiting for this and that, that's bullshit. Okay? Kansas City Chiefs did not have to sit him behind Alex Smith. He could have played right away, and the Chiefs would have been better off for it. May have won even sooner a Super Bowl. Okay? That stuff about sitting behind a guy, if you suck, you suck. Get him in there. Now, dude, so that's what they're doing to Chicago with Justin Fields. Chicago's doing at least one thing right, playing him. Get him in there. Let's go. And build around him. But you better be fair to Justin Fields. See, here's the issue with the Bears. You better be fair to him. Don't start calling him a bust when you don't have shit around him. It's completely unfair to sit there and for me, you've never heard me say Justin Fields is a bust. I say, I don't know. Because of the history of the Ohio State quarterback. I don't know. I am always more lenient on places like the Jets or Chicago when it comes to having young quarterbacks because they're not good at it. They've never been good at it. Okay? They've never been. You better give Justin Fields op time to turn that thing around because your O-line sucks. Your running game sucks. You're limited at wideout. Your defense sucks. Dude, that guy is arguably on one of the worst teams. Now, they spent a lot of money, stupid money. So you spent $120 million on linebackers instead of old linemen. Now, they drafted a guy. But, dude, you need a lot of help. I would have brought Andre Dillard's ass up there. I would have rifled as many old linemen in there as I could. Same way Cincinnati and what they're doing. They got to protect Burrow. Dude, what's more important in Cincinnati? Seriously, think about it. What's more important in Cincinnati? T. Higgins or a right tackle? What's more important? A tight end or a left blindside blocking tackle for Burrow? Give a shit about tight ends and wide receivers. You build your football team from the inside out, not from the perimeter in. Those are the dumbass GMs that do that stupid shit. That's why the Eagles can go out and make a trade for A.J. Brown or draft Devontae. Why? They got the best O-line in football. They're built. The Eagles do it right. They built, get this. That's the greatest example of my point that I've been making for 30 years. You build championship teams from the inside out. They got a Hall of Fame center. And when you get to the perimeter on your teams, you got the two best tandem tackles in the league. I don't know what else to say. That's clearly why they're the best team in the NFC. You got two Hall of Famers in your O-line. You got an all-pro in the making in Dickerson. And you got another guy who I think is going to be an elite left tackle in the sport, Mulata. Shit, man. The Eagles, hey, the chances of the Eagles being bad, like a 4-win team again, is nil. Especially with the NFC and the shape it's in. Philly Godfather is going to join us at the bottom of the hour. I mean, the chances of them being bad, no. Hey, real quick, before I get to Dalvin Cook and where I think he's going to land. So Deion Sanders is getting shit because he's firing everybody at Colorado. Pat Narduzzi, the head coach at Pitt, is saying that Deion, what he's doing is the worst thing in the world for college football. John Calipari, when he got the job at Kentucky, he fired everybody in the building, all the players, all the coaches, everyone, got rid of their ass and brought his one-and-doners in. When he got that job, he canned everybody. I told Mario Cristobal 50% of that roster at the University of Miami doesn't deserve to have Miami Hurricanes uniforms. They're not good enough. I'm not going to – dude, When we were at Miami, we had 1-year renewable contracts, scholarships. You didn't perform, you're out. Everybody thinks you're on these 4-year rides. Dude, it's not a GI Bill. You know, they're not 4-year contracts. Now, some schools are doing that. Worst thing in the world that could happen. Hey, worst thing in the world that could happen is if you start giving 4-year scholarships out, can you get complacency? Shit, man, every year we had to go in front of Jimmy and we had to renew our scholarships. Okay? We had to renew them in front of him. Some guys didn't walk out with their scholarships renewed. You walked in, man. You kind of had a pucker factor a little bit. You were like, shit, you think you're an All-American. I told me shit with him. He walked in, Jimmy's like, here, sign it. And it was a 2-minute meeting usually. Some guys didn't come out for 5 minutes, and then they came out in tears. I'm like, damn, they fired him? You should have seen this whole line. It was scary. And we were 12-0. We were undefeated, and you were afraid the next year whether or not you had your job. He made you feel that way. I think that was the best thing for us because it motivated all of us. Okay? football isn't as popular as FSU, UF, UCF, Georgia. I would take UCF out of that. I'll tell you this, dog. When you see the University of Miami logo and you see the UCF logo, does anybody know where UCF actually is? Bro, are you trying to tell me you think UCF has a bigger identity than that thing? I don't think so. Not happening. Growing, good luck to you. Hope you get there. Okay? UCF does not. And UCF will never. And I said this 15 years ago. UCF will never win a national championship. Ever. Because the politics aren't there for you. You see, back in the day, it was a better system. Because at least you voted on it. Now, you have a committee of politicians that guard the Power Five. Hey, one last thing before I move on to Dalvin Cook here. Do you guys know the last non-Power 5 team to win a national title? The U is underperforming for 25 years. Correct. Yes, JM. Yes. Completely agree. You guys know the last non-Power 5 team to win the national title? Do you know? I mean, the last Power 5, can you name it? Can't. It's BYU, 84. They made sure they would never see that ever again. 84 is the last time a non-Power 5 team won the national title. 84, over 30 some odd years ago. BYU. And the powers to be said, we got to change that. We can never have. Actually, it wasn't Steve Young. It was Ty Detmer that won the national title. You'll never see that again in the history of football. Independence, we didn't have Power 5 conferences back then, but we played Power 5 schedules every year. We opened with Florida. Then we would play Auburn. Hey, Yale, here was our schedule. Florida, Auburn, Flutie's Boston College, Michigan, FSU. Those were our first 4 games. And of course, we were 4-0. Let me move on here. So Deion Sanders firing all these guys in Colorado. They won 1 game. They were 1-11. What the hell do you want them to do? Keep bad players? It's the only way to fix Colorado. Colorado was a good program back in the 90s. They got a bunch of shitty players there. Bad recruiting, bad decision-making. Nobody's with a sense of urgency at Colorado. I think it's great what he's doing. I don't have one problem with it. Get him out of there. They suck. What about the kids? I don't care. He's brought in there to win ball games, not be a babysitter. It's not a daycare center. But what about the kids that were promised? I don't care. Get a job. You weren't good enough. You weren't supposed to be here in the first place. Jesus criminy. This is not a communistic situation where everything's fair. You're either good or you're not good. This guy, you want to know why Pitt has not been the same since the Foge Fazio and the Johnny Major days? Because they have that bullshit attitude. Pitt has put out some of the best college football prospects in the history of the NFL. Curtis Martin, Aaron Donald, Darrelle Revis, all the players that they have had there, and they don't win. They've had more superstar players than Penn State, and they can't win. Penn State's got a better winning culture. They got a better winning culture there. Shit, Joe Flacco even started at Pitt, and he transferred. Come on, man. I don't have a problem. Is it because Deion's black? Would you have the same problem with a white coach? Dude, you get rid of bad eggs. Get out of there. Dude, here's the problem what I think is the issue. Deion ain't going down with the ship. He's just not going to. Deion knows he ain't got 3 years of Colorado to turn it around because they'll fire his ass. They'll fire his ass in Colorado. He's got to win now. So he's going to bring in hired guns. He's going to bring in dudes who are going to win some ball games in the shitty Pac-12. That dude's going to win. I'm 100% behind Deion. Dude's got my back, man. I mean, I got that guy's back. I'm a voter, and I am 100% behind Deion Sanders. BYU was once a quarterback factory. Well, hey, think about this. They had McMahon, Young, Detmer, Mike Young, man, even Tyson Hill. This kid, Zach Wilson, was drafted in the first round. They've put into the draft a ton of good players, especially at that position. Name me one quarterback from Ohio State that even goes in. BYU is a better place to look for quarterbacks than Ohio State is. They keep trying to go back to that same well with Ohio State. We'll see what CJ Stroud is. A lot of people like him. We'll see. No Ohio State quarterback has ever really been good. BYU's had some pretty good players, man. You know that McMahon and Young were on the roster together? Okay. What was that coach's name back in the day? God, he was such a good coach. The field's named after him now. They had a bunch of good. What was his name? Oh man. No, what was that guy's name? That was the head coach. Lavelle Edwards. That's it. Thank you, Ronald. Lavelle Edwards. Yeah, Lavelle Edwards, man. He put a lot of. I think Todd Christensen came out of that joint too. That's some good football players, man, that came out of that place. Absolutely. Okay. Are you guys ready for the Dalvin Cook news? Niner. According to John Lynch, the 49ers are going to kick the tires on Dalvin Cook. Cal, Gonzalez, Rogers, Lynch, Jackson, good players. 49ers are going to kick the Jets too, by the way. Dalvin Cook, though, 49ers. And here, Niner, let's take a look at this. Why does it make sense? Because it protects the quarterback from mistakes and whoever's playing the position. So if you have Dalvin Cook and you have CMC back there, dude, they need to fix the tires on their quarterback. They can't. Too late, Tone. Tone's right. This is why it makes sense. They need to fix the tires. How? On June 9th? How are you fixing the tires? What are you fixing the tires on? Plus, it gives you time to get Purdy healthy. And you're not going to be asking Lance to do too much. Just run the ball, dude. Play Eagle football in a division and in a conference that's not great. You could weather it with a running game. Keep the ball out of the hands of the other quarterbacks. Run the football. Play defense. Win games 21-10. Christian McCaffrey and Dalvin Cook, Deebo Samuel, Ayuk, and that old line, you're going to win 12 games. And then if Purdy does what he did a year ago, the 49ers with Dalvin Cook could win the NFC. If Purdy plays like he did in that stretch, and they had Dalvin Cook, and get this, you're only going to have to pay him $5 million. See, I tried selling this to the Eagles, but they don't want anything to do with it. Their situation, see, Tone's right. You got to fix your quarterback. You're not fixing a quarterback situation on June 9th, dude. 30 days out from camp, you're fixing your quarterback? That ship's already sailed. If you're going to sit there and wait on your shitty decision-making at quarterback and trying to figure out another dumbass plan, you're going to be in the same position you've been in the last 6 freaking years. How do you compensate for that position? The same way the Eagles did the first year Hurts started. They had a running attack. They were number 1 in the league. You can fix and you can compensate for some of it. If they had Dalvin Cook in the NFC title game, I'm not saying they would have won. It would have been a better game. It would have been a better football game. You see, do you know what a running game does? It hides your passing game if you're not comfortable with it. If you're John Lynch, you look at Dalvin Cook and go, well, he only averages 213 carries a year. We're not going to ask him because we got McCaffrey back here to carry the ball 200 times. We want him at 5 yards a carry again. How do you do that? Run behind Trent Williams. My opinion, the 49ers make a ton of sense for them. They cannot fix their quarter. You guys, every single time the 49er conversation comes up, what do you guys say? Who's quarterbacking? I don't think it matters if Dalvin Cook's there. Because if Brock Purdy plays the same way he did last year down that stretch, they'll win the NFC. They'll win the NFC. If he gets back in there and he plays like he did and they run the ball with Dalvin Cook, they'll have better skilled people than the Eagles will. Look at how Dalvin Cook could change the room on you. Jalen Hurts is the catalyst in why it's changed. But if you put Purdy in there like he did and played like he did a year ago, Dalvin Cook, Christian McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel, Ayuk, and Kittle, they're better than the Eagles. That's a better group. That's a better group. You know why? Because you don't want to spend money on the backs. And you like Penny. And you like Swift. I do too like Swift. I don't want to pretend I don't, because I do. Okay? Yell goes, that would be a 1-year move. So? Who knows? Maybe not. Now, you do have to turn around next year, and you got to give the guy $30 million. So, yeah. Dude, if you'll spend $20 million on a defensive tackle, you'll spend $5 million on a running back. Plug that in. The 49ers have the ability to – you need to win, man. You're wasting your opportunity away because you're not paying a lot of money at the quarterback position, okay? You're not stable there. Well, figure out how you can win games because the way you came back to try to win a game in the NFC title game was a joke. Put yourself in a position to succeed. Dan, you can't win shootouts that way. Who's in a shootout in the NFC? You're making it sound like there's high-powered offenses in the NFC. You're right. If this is the AFC 85, I'm not having this conversation. It's the NFC. There's 3 teams in the league. It's top-heavy. The rest of them suck. You got to maneuver what? Around the Rams? They can't stop the run. Shootouts. How are you in a shootout when you run the ball for 250 yards a game? You're not in a shootout. You're on 14-play drives, 12-play drives. How are you in a shootout when you only get the ball 4 times? That's not shootout. Dalvin Cook, QB2. No, I think that's McCaffrey. Okay? 49ers only work. You own that game with 250 on the ground. Neil, correct. Dude, I'm going to tell you this one more time. Throwing the ball for 375 yards is stupid. No, because I've seen too many games where you lose games like that. 250 yards rushing, man, you never lose. Anybody who owns the rushing attack, you don't lose that game.